Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about how tipping culture affected the gig economy. So recently I conducted a live stream featuring Bud Soda, and in this live stream we had a completely different topic on 1099 versus W-2 workers, but we ended up getting into a very interesting conversation about how tipping culture affected the gig economy. And honestly, it was so intriguing, I needed to make sure it was uploaded separately. So with that said, we are going over what was being said in this live stream about tipping culture, how it actually is for Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers and customers, and everything in between. The content of this video does not contain is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. So with that said, enjoy.
A friend of mine recently worked there within the last year, and he got reactivated on DoorDash and he ditched that, went back to it. He said the volume of tips is really bad. Like from the time he started to the time he ended, about 6-7 months, it went from like 2/3 tip to 1/3 of them tip. And we're talking about a military base where a lot of people tend to tip, and pizza and Chinese are traditionally tipped at delivery. Like people, you tip your pizza guy or Chinese guy, you know, but people are taking it for granted. It's kind of wild that, the DoorDash mindset, like, oh, I'm getting all these free promos and stuff, and the pizza places try to do the same thing when there's zero skin in the game. Basically, you give it whatever. This is free. This is free. This is free, and you might be paying $2 for the actual pizzas, and because they're your first time user of their app. There's no skin in the game, and people are just going to pay that $2. Versus if you just drop the fee down to let's say 50 cents. You still got a little skin in the game, but that would keep those people out. But obviously, the corporations want all the volume they can get. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, and it's funny, I also think this is a pre versus post pandemic thing, because I remember talking to so many drivers when I lived in New York, and I used to be a pizza delivery driver in New York, even though it was the worst thing for me at the time because I was driving a GMC Yukon with pizza delivery, and $20 worth of gas was a sip for that vehicle. And not to mention, when you do these deliveries, you're trying to get cash from the person for the order. And when you're doing that, you're basically buying the order from the pizza place, delivering it, and receiving payment upon arrival. And the change is typically your tip. It doesn't, you don't know how much you're going to get tipped, but that's your tip. And you could end up making $60. You can make up $100, or you can make the exact same amount you had in your pocket going into the place.
Now you got it where those are on the apps too. The CODs are sending them to the apps, and even then, people say, "No, I paid in the app. No, I called the store and paid. What do you mean I gotta pay?" And so they'll either stiff you on the tip or try to stiff you on the whole order, and it's a whole kerfuffle. So or it's a headache for all of us. And I don't recommend doing cash on delivery for that reason, because I think the apps made it easier, like both the corporate apps and the 1099 food delivery apps made it easier for people to feel less guilty about it. Because you could put it in on the app, hit you want cash on delivery. Oh, what do you mean? I paid on the app, or I called in with my debit card number. What do you mean? It makes people feel less guilty about it versus back in the day. You didn't have a food delivery app. You called in the old-fashioned way almost every time. You didn't want to screw over that business or driver. You had that guilt context in your brain triggered. Yeah, and now we have that to deal with. I don't know.
I also think contactless delivery definitely contributed to that, because now people tipping used to be a social thing, even though it's not really for yes, it's treated as tips, But really, it's a bid for service. But because it's branded as tips, people are thinking it's a gratuity for service. And first off, anybody and their mother is probably bitching about tipping culture, which is just a poor excuse to stiff the person that is doing the service for you. And it's entitlement in
Yeah.
so many different ways. And then
Yeah.
there's also the prospect of, hey, this person is delivering and looking you in the eye, as opposed to you could just leave it at the door and you'll never see or hear from that person at all. You just interacted with an
You're
app.
dropping,
Yeah.
or if it's at their work, you just dropping it at their reception desk and they never have to interact with you. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like part of that complex used to be, oh, they know where I live and work. It's like, do I really want to pee this person off?
But there's
But to be the
also the
heel on
yeah.
the tip culture thing, it's gotten out of hand. You got landlords asking for tips now. Come on.
Yeah, you got landlords,
Like,
self-service
it don't matter where
kiosks.
you go, everyone's begging for a tip. The automated machine that you're using as self checkouts asking for a tip, and people already hate those things. So, you know, I
Yeah,
look at them as a convenience when I have a few items versus trying to wait in a long line. But the
mhm.
problem is, like, they focused on them so much. Now you're waiting in another line for a supposed convenience
Yeah,
because
but
people go
you're
with full carts instead of just 10 or 15 items.
and you know what? That's fine. And I get that there's truth to that too. Like in a lot of cases, some of these things are also just part of the POS system. Like gratuity screens are just kind of there. And so they'll add it as a feature, but they're not thinking like, hey, this is actually affecting people in a way where it's hurting those who are traditionally tipped. It's hurting those who are actually providing services. And don't even get me
Yeah.
started on all the games that the apps themselves have played. We'll be here
Yeah.
forever.
I think it's funny. Like, for example, I worked at Subway and, like, they didn't put it on their pin pad for a tip. And if we were allowed to have a little change cup up there, just be a little clear thing that said Subway or just a cup itself, you put a $8 in it to try to get people to tip.
Mhm.
And they just do it their loose change or a dollar bill. It's never usually much unless it's like a regular who really likes you or something. But most people would tip, their loose change or a dollar or two. And that was great. It was a little extra fun money, or you'd put in toward the coffee run because my manager would go to the Tim Hortons, get like some ice caps. So
Mhm.
but like, yeah, it used to just be a little fun money, a Christmas money. It was great, but like, it wasn't expected of you. Sorry, my like keeps going out. It times out within 10 minutes. But like, and I'm trying to, like, at the, and now it's everywhere. It's at your coffee shop. It's at your sub shop. It's at every place. Your mechanic everywhere. It's so hard. And then people are so fatigued out when they get home. I don't want to cook tonight. I can just hit leave it door, and I don't gotta face the consequences. And
You know,
what's the
it's
weirdest thing is, like, I prefer leave at door transactions because it's a lot less headache. But at the same time, like, I bought in someone's shower wall. Like, honestly, like, they had their son-in-law or something there to help. They grabbed the actual shower pieces, and I just grabbed the lumber, and the guy gave me a $20 bill. Go treat yourself to a nice lunch or something, bud. I'm like, oh, damn, that was awesome. So human interaction still trumps, in my opinion, as far as like getting good tips.
mhm.
Because when it's like a big order I deliver, whether it be food or that, it's like that complex in their mind kind of hits. Like, if I'm coming to your house and I have to like set a lot of stuff down and do some actual work, it hits more than, say, just like a one meal order, or I'm leaving at the reception desk, or it's just for the office pizza party. It's very rare on a catering order, for example, that I've been post tip. I've have been, don't get me wrong, but like, very, very rare. And even
Yeah,
some of them are like,
universal.
you're taking it just to fill time because maybe they take a late lunch and it's 1 o'clock and it's paying $20-25. Well, what else are you going to get for $20-25 at 1 o'clock?
Yeah, right. It's funny that you
Okay.
mention tips in coffee shops, mechanics, etc. Gratuities kind of originated in Europe in coffee shops specifically. And that actually was a thing for a long time. It was adopted by America. So whenever somebody's like,
tipping culture in America is crazy. Like, why should I tip you?
first off, you invented it. So you can Hakuna Yatatas for that. Second, it started in coffee shops. It expanded into other things as well as other services. I think gratuity screens is really where things started to pick up because a lot of people paid on card. They didn't have cash on them, and that was kind of their excuse. And then gratuity screens popped up everywhere, and that started snowball effect in general. Then people started adopting gratuity screens with their square systems and their toasts and whatever.
Again, the pandemic on 2020 on really accelerated that because people didn't want to handle cash. Cash is one of the dirtiest things you can touch. So
Don't even get me
it's like,
started on how dirty cash is.
yeah,
We'll be here all
that's
day.
why we got those gratuity screens everywhere. And instead of, oh, here's a 20, and the total was 17 and change, throw the freaking change in there versus trying to put it away because it's so significant money. Now it's like you're written prompted 15, 20, 30% everywhere you go. It's like, it just drags.
Yeah, it's not that convenient. And the only convenience of it is that you're pushing a button and people are now seeing what 20% really looks like over and over and over and over again. And that can add up if everyone's asking. Again, if you
Yeah,
can't afford the services, you shouldn't be ordering anyway. That's a different argument entirely.
Yeah, if you're the kind to go into your coffee shop, even if you're standing up like a Starbucks or a Dunkin', let's just say the two biggest chains, and you're the guy who 20 variations and I want this and that, many pumps of whatever BS, and it takes 5 minutes to make your coffee, you better be tipping those people because you're a pain in the butt and you slow down everything.
It's funny because in my experience, the people that ask for the most tip the least, and the people that tip the most ask for the least. And I always feel like that's the truth.
Like the most one I hear, I just want my caramel drizzle. Come on. But it's like, you don't get it the standard way. You almost want some variation on it. You want a million different add-ins or pumps of this or pumps of that on top of the caramel. And you're the 5-minute freaking coffee lady versus the 30-second to 2-minute, which is ideal coffee lady. You're the person that makes Starbucks lines long every morning. Trust me, I've been behind those people and they're just standing there. They're fuming. And they're super particular when they ordered because they came in the store while sitting there waiting for my DoorDash. And it's like, do you listen to yourself when you order? Like, I couldn't stand you. Like, bless them if they could put up with it.
You know, it's funny because I always I know a lot of people get pissed about it. While they're ordering, it feels like ASMR because it's like they could just rattle it off like it's just second nature. And it's just funny to me. And then when when you see how long it actually takes to do that, I'm just like,
I want something iced, bitch, Mox.
I'll have a Neapolitan cappuccino, more cappa than chino. Make sure it's got no more than 4 ounces of milk. The beans won't have the right texture otherwise. And make sure they spell my name correctly on the cup. They always put Foxy or Roxy. I hate that. If you can't handle that, I'll have a venti traditional misto. Please use soy milk with 2 blonde shots, affogato and ristretto. I'd also love 3 vanilla pumps at the very bottom. Then add the coffee after. Then add...
Enough!
Do you notice how all sub shops, the major chains, went from those clear windows where you can see everything, and now there's like that big tin barrier that is the old. They went back to the old way where it used to be.
Yeah.
So now you can't be super picky about, oh, how's this look today? How's that look today? I mean, I'd show somebody if they asked me, but like it keeps the times down because they want to be efficient. Because those people would take forever. I got 12 hungry college kids who are going to miss their bus behind you.
Right.
Now, get your ass moving. They're always ordering the cheapest sub, never get a cookie, never get a drink.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about my W-2 days here, venting a little. But like, those people are not the tipping ones. And then like the other people behind them are mad. I'm not getting tips out of those people now because they're pissy that they want to get going, you know? That's just the way it is. Like, Coffee shop, I'm a 3 or 4 cream, depending on how dark the coffee is at that certain place. And like 2 Splenda. I'm good. I'm simple. But these other people, yeah, I want 2 pumps of mocha. I want 3 pumps of caramel. I want 4 pumps of vanilla. I want low fat, no soy, bull crap. But yeah, Bubba, so it seems like it, but like, you know, I think that traditionally a lot of these places had like a literal cup sitting there. They put their biggest cup out, or
they have a
little
jar
plastic
with a
disc with the
bunch.
branded logo.
Yeah, they have a jar with a few like cute drawings on it or whatever. And that's like
we could not put any wording for anything that said tip on it. It was very discouraged. Like saying, like if the guy came in and saw it had something written on it, even if it didn't say tip, he would take it, change it all in it, and just chuck it across the room. Because he would get mad because he feels like it's pressuring the customer to tip because he's trying to guilt trip them. And now it's like, oh, here it's in your face, and that's the way it is now. Now they do guilt trip your face,
right?
And half the time, half these chains, it's not like a standalone pin pad where you can kind of just hit it real quick. No, they're holding it in their hands, staring daggers at you. Like, how dare you hit anything less than 20?
Right.
And
I remember
the
going
1099 side of that is, it's like, okay, as us delivery drivers, because they're so tip fatigued for going in person, they don't want to tip us either because they're like, oh, I'm done. I'm like, I've tipped 3 people already today. I just want my food. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, we're not in one place. We have actual expenses. We're using our cars to bring it to you, besides the free bag they give you. I paid real money for this. I didn't get that for free.
Right.
I went and freaking eBay and bought that damn thing. You know, that cost me real money. Yeah, I get to write it off, but like, the point is, each of those bags, if you go look them up with shipping, is like $20 to $30. They're not cheap. If you actually give a crap and you have like foam insulated bags, I get that has branding on it, but like, that's my just everyday gig bag. But like, they cost real money to use.
Speaking of a tax write-off, by the way, make sure that you're getting your taxes done right using a qualified tax professional at an affordable rate for gig workers, and that is where GigTax is here to help. As somebody who has ventured into self-employment and being in business for themselves via food delivery apps and gig apps in general, the income is promising. That said, you are also faced with the challenges of navigating taxes as self-employed individuals and transforming your gig into a sustainable business. GigTax was founded by Joseph Mayo, a seasoned gig worker with over 7,000 deliveries across 7 platforms since 2020. They understand the challenges of gig workers, rideshare drivers, couriers, and online sellers of all kinds. Their #1 tax preparation service is designed to help you maximize your savings and save you time, energy, and money. Unlock valuable benefits with GigTax, such as electronic and state filing, direct access to tax pros and financial partners, the client app and portal, as well as audit support. GigTax already provides low rates, but for Driven Wyld subscribers, they're even lower at less than $100 for tax preparation services. Even as someone who has done his taxes before, it is reassuring to have someone like Joseph in my corner. He goes over every missed detail you might have missed, reassures you that your taxes will be done in a professional manner, and does his best to get you the most amount of money possible and or having to pay the least amount. He is diligent in his work and tries to do right by people. Highly recommend. Go to gigtaxservice.com/drivenwyld and use the code WILD in all lowercase letters to access your special offering. Simplify and save with GigTax today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh!